So today was one of those December days that definitely was a lot. So along with the two of the girls, Baby and Hermione, having a dance recital, the Holly Jolly dance recital, I don't remember the name of it, and or rather I do, but I'm trying to at least try to cover names here. So they had that, and they both danced at different times. One of them danced at 10 o'clock, and the other danced at 2:45. So we got up, we got all ready. We brought the baby first, and she did her dance, and she did a very, very good job. And then we went to Burger King because it was one of those days where we are not, we're not cooking lunch. It's not possible if these kids. So we did dig into the Christmas money a little bit to get Burger King, which they were really excited about. And then we went home. Hermione packed a bag for a sleepover. And then we drove the twins to a birthday party. And then at 2:30, we picked Hermione up. And we drove back over to the dance recital. And she performed. And then we got back in the car and drove back over to the birthday party. And dropped Hermione back off at the birthday party. And then picked up some groceries, went back to the birthday party, picked the twins up, went back home, dropped Mog and Baby off, as well as dinner, the stuff for dinner, and then went out to drive Hermione to the sleepover she has. And I find out pretty last minute-ish about the sleepover because they're at the age where kids just love to make plans, but forget to tell parents about the plans. So, yeah, this was planned. And, we just found out about it, and I'm like, okay, well, what's the address? And it's out in the county, like a half hour away. And I'm like, first off, if my parents weren't willing to drive me 30 minutes places, like, I wouldn't have seen any of my friends. Because, especially up in Washgish, like, it's so rural, friends don't exist any less than a mile or two away, and that's if you're lucky, but chances are you've got a friend that's like at least a half hour away. So it's like, okay, I'll bring you to, it's really important for kids to socialize, and like, it's also really fun to have a friend in the country. Like, man, I wish we could live out in the country. I wish we didn't have to live out in the city. I have major house envy. Anyways, we drove, and we're in the middle of what I've heard described as a hurricane level winter storm. like if this would have happened by water, it would have been a hurricane. I don't know if that's true or not, but I do know that we have a butt ton of snow, enough to get my car very, very, very stuck in multiple days in a row, and just make parking and just so bad. We've gotten so bad snow and it just won't stop. And while it's really fun to get the first big snowstorm before Christmas instead of after or on, when, we have to be traveling, it is really nice that we got this before Christmas. However, oh my gosh, I am not. It's so much snow. And we're only halfway through December. We're running out of places to put the snow. So anyways, imagine just if you are not a northern driver, if you've never, driven on snow or ice, or the nice, fun little mixture what we get when the snow has compacted down and the melt has gotten on top of it. It's kind of warmed up, it's melted a little bit, and then it freezes again. It's not and then, but it doesn't freeze all the way. It doesn't freeze enough to go away because it's still compacted snow, and the snow plows at that point can't pick that up. And then it starts melting a little bit because sun comes out and the day warms up and it starts melting a little bit. And then you have to drive through that. So it's really slippery and it's really wet. Imagine skating through, being a cartoon character, skating through a greased floor on a banana peel. That's kind of what it feels like. And then add the fact, the further you go from town, the worse the roads are. Also, the further you get from town, the narrower the roads are, and the less people can come and help if anything bad happens to you. And again, I grew up in the Northwoods. Man, I can't even imagine the age before cell phones. That must have been so terrifying. So, yeah, we're driving Hermione out into the county and it's going pretty good. It's a little iffy, a little slide, but I stay under. The speed limit is 45, 55, but it's I'm feeling a solid 30. So let's just go about this at a solid 30. We're plotting away, and so this, ride out to this, half-hour ride out to the house is getting closer to an hour. And the sun is starting to set. And because it's winter and it's past 4 o'clock. And it's, going there, it's okay. It's, snow picks up a little bit. but it's nothing like I've driven in worse snow before. When we get up there and we drop Hermione off, the kids' parents invited us in to talk, which was real cool because, like, I love actually getting to talk to my kids as friends as parents. But, like I said, a lot of times so many things are scheduled away from us. It's just like, your kid, my kid, they're doing something. You cool with that? I'm like, yeah, as long as they're not getting, like, doesn't look, yeah, I think I'm cool with that. Like, so, you don't really, like, but it's really nice when, like, you can actually talk and get to know the parents, and they were really cool. They seem like chill people. They had a skate park in their basement. I had a little bit of house envy. And they had dogs, and I got to pet their dogs. So, being Minnesotan and everything, we had to chat, and, of course, it came up that, like, oh, I'm from even further north, Minnesota, out in the boonies there, and so Chris was like, yeah, so is I. So we had to chat for like a solid 10 minutes about how much we hate Wisconsin on principle of it being Wisconsin. But, like, just, talking about living rural and all that. And I chatted, and it's like, well, okay, it's getting dark. We gotta go. We have a long ride. So we said goodbye, and, goodbye also took like 10 minutes because, we're Minnesota, and, like, we gotta. And so we leave, and we start going back. It's dark by now, and the snow's really picked up. So it's gotten to that, not quite Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer level storm, but it was, Rudolph would have been nice but he wasn't necessary. It was kind of that there's a haze over everything, and, like, just lots of loose, dusty snow flying, but, nothing too bad, nothing too heavy. It was like, it's fine, I can go 30. This is an unknown road, and it's much narrower than we're used to. And just then, Sandra's phone died, and I left my phone with Riley so she could get a hold of us if, like, an emergency happened. And so Sandra's phone died, and we're heading back, and I see a stop sign coming up, and it's still, like, in the middle, like, deep woods. And so I start slowing for this stop sign, but it doesn't look like a normal stop sign. It looks like maybe like a snowmobile crossing sign. And I couldn't really see a road, like, up ahead it didn't really look like a road, so I thought maybe it was like a snowmobiling crossing sign. And so I started to slow down, but, kind of in the knowledge that sometimes when it comes to braking, it's the thought that counts. You'll learn how many little bumps cars can make without hurting each other. It's like just very, you gotta play bumper cars sometimes. That's why you go slow, so the bumper cars won't hurt anybody. But so I was starting to stop, but I didn't really see anything coming. And then suddenly I do see a light, and I'm like, okay, probably a snowmobile is coming. So I start, like, applying the brake a little bit more. And then, like, faster than I can imagine, a train speeds out. Like, just, I've lived around trains pretty much my whole life. I've seen trains go, but I've always seen them go through town, or, like, close enough to, like, I've seen them go through the country, so never mind, like, it was going so fast. Like, so fast. And maybe I'm just spoiled from in-town train speeds, but yeah, it was like a zipper. It was just, and I was still kind of rolling forward at this point because, you know, trying to push the brake a little harder, but I'm not that 19-year-old anymore, so I do know how to brake. And so I do manage to get the car to a complete stop, and me and Sandra are just, like, shaking because she also knew I was about to blow that stoplight. And it's like, neither of us, like, that it came so fast, and we didn't feel it. Like, we didn't feel the rumble. We didn't hear anything. It was like a ghost until it was in front of us. And both of us were like, we almost just died. Like, that would have taken us out. No, like, it would have fucking obliterated us. And it's like, okay. And then, we wait for that passes, and then I go a lot more cautiously to this, this intersection, and I look and I don't see anything coming, and then I start crossing, and I see lights, like I see a light in the distance, and I'm like, oh shit. And so I, like, try to go a little bit faster, but like, there's a limit to how fast you can get a car moving on that. Like, it was going as fast as it could, but it was having some trouble getting over those tracks. And like, as soon as I saw the light, I was like, shit. And I just, like, I managed to get across, and I did not look back to see how close it was, the next train was, but I didn't even know they could, like, are they allowed to go one after another on the track like that? Like, that sounds like a math problem waiting to happen. And I hate math. So, yeah. And then we were just like, did that just happen? And, then we drove home. And it was, fully night now, and Sandra's phone was fully dead. And we keep going, and we know we can't get lost, because it's like, you take one road until you get to the highway kind of deal. Like, but there's only one way to go, and, like, so as long as you don't somehow go backwards, once you hit the highway, you'll know. You'll have hit the highway. So, didn't have to worry about any of that or anything, but it was definitely, like, there were some times when it was like, I think all four of my tires are making contact, but I don't know for sure, and we're just living on a prayer and hoping no deer or anything come out. And then we just about make it to the outskirts of town, to the village. And the gas light comes on, as well as the check engine light. So that was great. And then we stopped at Quick Trip, and I got some gas for it. It was a different Quick Trip than I was used to, so I ended up prepaying for gas on the wrong pump, and then had to back my car up because the way they number their pumps on top is backwards from the normal Quick Trip I go to. And so I backed my car on up, and I filled up with the gas, and then Sandra and I headed out back home, and the check engine light had turned off at that point, so that was good. Not sure why it turned on or if it will come back, but you know. So yeah, it took us and then when we got home, Dave was real salty because we told him we would be back in a half hour, that we would be back in 45 minutes, and then we were gone for like 2 hours, and Sandra's phone was dead. So he was kind of pissy, but I was like, yeah, but I promise you, for as worried as you were, we were way more worried. So, like, just call this even. But we lived. And that's gotta count for something, right? Have a good night.